The bus driver looked at the wheelchair veteran in the pouring rain. "Ramp's broken. Wait for the next bus, then close the doors." But as he started to drive away, every single passenger stood up. "Stop the bus, we're all getting off." What happened next made the evening news and cost the driver his 20-year career. Welcome to Silent Courage Stories. Before we dive into this unforgettable story of respect, justice, and unsung heroes, take a second to leave a comment below and tell us which city you're watching from. We love seeing our community come together from all over the world. And if you believe stories like this must live on and never be erased from history, then hit that subscribe button right now and stand with us in honoring their legacy. Together, we can make sure their courage is never forgotten. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Tuesday evening, 5:30 p.m. Heavy rain pouring down, bus route 61, downtown Oakland line. Rush hour, the bus was packed. Master Sergeant Robert Bobby Turner, 52 years old, waited at the bus stop in his wheelchair. Iraq war veteran. 2007 IED explosion in Baghdad, paralyzed from the waist down. Beside him, Zeus, a 6-year-old golden retriever trained service dog. Both were soaking wet. The bus approached. Bobby raised his hand. The bus stopped. The driver, Frank Patterson, 58 years old, 20-year employee, looked through the window, saw Bobby, the wheelchair, the dog, the rain. He opened the doors but didn't lower the ramp. Bobby waited. "Could you lower the ramp, please?" Frank opened his window, shouted, "Ramp's broken. Wait for the next bus." "Sir, we're soaking wet. Please." "I said it's broken. Next bus in 20 minutes. Bobby's uniform was visible under his raincoat. Purple heart, bronze star on his chest. "Sir, could you just try?" "No, wait." Frank started closing the doors. At that moment, a voice rose from the back of the bus. "Stop!" Maria Rodriguez, 65 years old, retired nurse, had stood up. "Driver, that man is a veteran. He's waiting in the rain. Open the door." Frank looked in the mirror. "Sit down, lady." "Ramp's broken." "It's not broken." A young man stood up. Tom Chen, 28 years old, software engineer. "You used it this morning." "For an elderly lady, I saw you." Frank's face reddened. "It broke since then." "Liar!" another passenger shouted. Tom pulled out his phone. "I'm recording this. Discrimination against a veteran." Frank hit the gas, the bus started moving. That's when something extraordinary happened. All 47 passengers on the bus stood up. "Stop the bus!" Frank hit the brakes. "What are you doing?" Maria walked forward. "Either that veteran gets on or we all get off." "That's ridiculous. Sit down." A high school student, Jessica Williams, 17 years old, pulled the emergency cord. The alarm started ringing. The bus was required to stop. Frank yelled, "What did you do?" "The right thing," said Jessica. "My dad came back from Afghanistan in a wheelchair." "I know how it feels." The doors opened. Passengers started getting off. Into the rain, all of them. Maria descended the steps with her old bones. Tom holding his laptop bag over his head. Jessica in her school uniform. Business people, students, elderly, young. They all gathered around Bobby. Frank was shocked. "Are you all crazy?" "It's raining," Tom answered. "This man fought for us. We'll stand in the rain for him." Bobby was crying in his wheelchair. "You don't have to do this. I'll wait." "No, sir," said Maria. "No one gets left behind, especially not you." Frank got off the bus. "Get back on, all of you." "No," said the crowd in unison. Jessica was already uploading video to Twitter. Bus driver left wheelchair veteran in rain. All passengers got off. Respect our veterans. Tati Shocks, Pittsburgh. The video immediately started going viral. Frank pulled out his phone, called dispatch. "All passengers got off. What do I do?" "Supervisor." "What do you mean got off?" "For the veteran. They want me to use the ramp. Is the ramp broken?" Frank was silent. "Frank, is it broken or not?" "No." "Lower the ramp." "Now." Frank turned around. 47 people standing in the rain, around Bobby, trying to shield him from the rain. Someone was holding an umbrella over Bobby. Another had wrapped Zeus in their coat. Frank lowered the ramp. It worked. Perfectly. Bobby wheeled up the ramp, got on the bus. All the passengers followed, soaking wet but smiling. Maria paused as she passed Frank. You should be ashamed. 20 years driving a bus, 20 years and you haven't learned humanity? The bus continued in silence, but everyone was on their phones, sharing the video, telling the story. An hour later, Pittsburgh Port Authority's phones were jammed, thousands of complaints. CEO James Morrison called an emergency meeting. This video is everywhere. CNN, Fox, NBC, they're all showing it. PR director, 3 million views in 1 hour. Find Frank Patterson now. Frank had gone home after his shift. His door knocked, his supervisor and 2 executives. Frank, you need to come to headquarters. Tomorrow? Now? At the central office, the CEO was waiting, the video playing on a laptop. Explain. The ramp, quote, don't lie. We checked GPS logs. You used the ramp 3 times that day, before the veteran. Frank was silent. Why, Frank? Why lower it for an elderly lady but not for a veteran? Frank mumbled. The dog. I don't like dogs. Don't want dogs on the bus. The CEO's mouth fell open. For a service dog? For a trained service dog? Quote, you're fired, Frank. 20 years. Done. Your pension will be reviewed. Frank started crying. No, please. I have a family. That veteran has a family too, and you left him in the rain. The next day, Bobby Turner was a national hero. Invitation after invitation, TV shows. But Bobby gave only 1 interview to Pittsburgh local news. I want to thank those passengers, 47 strangers. They stood in the rain for me. It was the most beautiful example of humanity I've ever seen. The reporter asked, what do you think about Frank Patterson? I feel sorry for him. Lost 20 years over a moment of anger. I wish he'd just lowered the ramp. Would have taken 2 minutes. Maria Rodriguez also gave an interview. I'm 65. I have arthritis. Standing in the rain was painful. But I'd do it 1,000 times for that veteran. Tom Chen. I'm a software developer. I'm a logic person. The logic was, a human needs help. Help them. That simple. Jessica Williams, high school student. We learn about heroes in history class. Bobby Turner's a real hero. I couldn't leave him in the rain. Pittsburgh Port Authority announced new policy. Special protocol for all veterans and disabled individuals. Drivers who violate it will be fired immediately. Frank Patterson couldn't find work. No transportation company would hire him. Everyone knew him because of the video. 6 months later, he called Bobby Turner. Mr. Turner, this is Frank. I want to apologize. Bobby was silent. You're right to stay silent. You won't forgive, but I want you to know, I'm sorry every day. Frank, said Bobby, I forgive you. Really? Yes, but on one condition. Go volunteer at veteran organizations. Learn what we go through. Frank agreed. Now he's a volunteer driver at the VA hospital, transporting wheelchair-bound veterans for free. Every day, he says, I remember Bobby Turner, in the rain with his dog. And I'm ashamed. That shame made me a better person. The 47 passengers? They meet once a year. Call themselves rain heroes. Bobby attends every meeting with Zeus. You, he says, gave me back my faith in humanity. When I came back from war, I thought people were bad. You showed me there's goodness. Maria cries every time. We didn't do anything, Bobby. Just did what was right. Tom Chen developed an app, Access Ride, helping disabled individuals find accessible transportation in Bobby's honor. Jessica Williams, studying law now, wants to be a disability rights attorney. That day on the bus, she says, I found my life's purpose, to fight for justice. There's now a plaque at bus stop 61 in Pittsburgh. November 4th, 2024. 47 brave passengers stood here in the rain for a veteran. Humanity won. Frank sometimes goes to that stop, looks at the plaque, cries. 2 minutes? he says to himself. Lowering the ramp would have taken 2 minutes. My life wouldn't have changed. Bobby Turner still travels the same route. Every bus driver knows him. The bus doesn't leave until the ramp is down, and Zeus is still by his side. When it rains, Bobby tucks him under his coat. You're my hero, he tells the dog, and the people of Pittsburgh are our heroes. One day, there was a new driver on the bus, young, inexperienced. Seeing Bobby, he hesitated. The ramp, takes a while. The entire bus stood up, in unison. Lower the ramp! The driver lowered it, quickly, fearfully. Bobby laughed. Thank you, Pittsburgh. Every time. And the bus continued on its way. Inside, a hero, 40 passengers, and a lesson. If you don't stand up for what's right, you're not worthy of where you sit. The story continued to resonate. A documentary filmmaker approached the passengers about making a film. The Rain Stand premiered at Sundance Film Festival. It won 3 awards. In the film, Frank Patterson appears. He's interviewed at the VA hospital pushing a veteran in a wheelchair. I was a small man with small thinking, he says. I saw inconvenience where I should have seen honor. 2 minutes of my time versus his lifetime of service. The math is shameful. The veteran he's pushing interrupts. Frank's okay now. We all make mistakes. He's one of our best volunteers. Bobby Turner became a disability advocate, speaking at transportation conferences nationwide. At one conference, he said, accessibility isn't about ramps and equipment. It's about attitude. Frank Patterson had a working ramp. He just didn't have a working heart. The 47 passengers fixed that. A transportation executive asked, how do we prevent this? Bobby smiled. Easy. Hire people who've stood in the rain for someone else. They get it. Jessica Williams, now in law school, started a legal clinic for disabled veterans facing discrimination. Her first case. A veteran denied restaurant service because of his service dog. She won. The restaurant owner had to undergo sensitivity training, taught by Frank Patterson. I'm the cautionary tale, Frank tells classes. I'm what happens when you forget that convenience is never more important than compassion. Tom Chen's app, Access Ride, went national. Google acquired it for $10 million. Tom donated half to veteran organizations. Bobby Turner taught me that technology should serve humanity, not the other way around. Maria Rodriguez passed away 3 years after the incident. At her funeral, Bobby spoke. Maria stood in the rain for me when her arthritis made every drop painful. She stood because standing for others is what makes us human. She stood so I could ride. I ride now for those who can't stand. The entire congregation of rain heroes attended. They stood when Bobby spoke, even those with walkers, canes, difficulties, because they learned. Standing isn't always physical. Sometimes it's moral. Pittsburgh made November 4th Rain Heroes Day. Public transportation is free for all disabled individuals. The mayor said, 47 citizens taught us that weather is temporary, but character is permanent. At the 10th anniversary gathering, Bobby asked the group, would you do it again? 47 voices, some aged, some young, all answered, every time. Frank Patterson was there too, invited by Bobby. Frank is one of us now, Bobby announced. He stood in the rain too. Just took him longer to get there, Frank cried. 10 years ago, I failed a basic test of humanity. These people, and especially Bobby, taught me to pass it every day since. The bus stop where it happened is now a Pittsburgh landmark. Tour guides tell the story. This is where Pittsburgh chose humanity over comfort, where 47 strangers became family, where rain washed away indifference. And somewhere in Pittsburgh, every day when it rains, bus drivers remember. They lower their ramps a little faster, hold their doors a little longer, show a little more patience, because they know the story, the legend, the day Pittsburgh stood in the rain. And Bobby Turner, still riding, still serving, now on the Pittsburgh Transit Board of Directors. First policy he passed? The Rain Hero Protocol. Any driver who refuses service to a disabled person doesn't just lose their job, they have to meet every passenger who would have stood in the rain. Shame is a teacher, Bobby says, but solidarity is the lesson.